So yeah, Saqib, thanks for making time for this. So yeah, it's been a few days, obviously, since that final at Lords, the 100 final. You've got a winner's medal, player of the match medal. Has it all sunk in?
Uh, yeah, I'd say so. It's obviously it's quite nice that I got to stay behind in London for. Well, I'm still in London because Lanks play Surrey's the first game back in the Champo stuff after the 100, so I just stayed here. It didn't really make sense to go back to Manchester and travel back. So yeah, spent a couple of days with the boys after it and stuff, and a lot of messages from people. I've tried to keep a bit of a low profile over the last year, 18 months, especially since my last stress fracture. So yeah, obviously for it to go the way it did on Sunday night, obviously meant a lot of exposure, and yeah, I've had a lot of nice messages since.
Yeah, as you say, you have kept a low profile over the last kind of year or two, obviously because of your injuries. I mean, how has it been nice to kind of get your name out there again, I guess?
Yeah, I think for me, obviously, coming into the 100, everyone has their own individual goals as well as the team goal, and obviously the team goal is to win it. But, my own individual goals, at the end of the day, cricket is a team sport full of individuals, and for me, I wanted to put performances in to get myself back on, almost knocking on that England door again, and that's that was my intentions coming into the tournament, and I got off to a good start with that, and then, I missed out in the middle. I got dropped because of the balance of the team, and that was frustrating because I was bowling well, but I have a lot of respect for Moods, Tom Moody here, and the reason made sense. It was just obviously I was the fall guy for that, so yeah, I tried to carry myself as best as I could around the team. But to be honest, I thought my tournament was over, especially with the way the guys were going. I tried to obviously still keep myself going and keep myself ready in case the chance came, which it did. And then it was just obviously there was a bit of fire for me because I'd been missing out, so I wanted to prove a point a little bit, and yeah, I finished with a good couple of games at the back end of the tournament. So yeah, real happy with how we went in the final, especially.
Yeah, you absolutely did prove a point, particularly with that blistering spell in the final. I think it was 3 wickets there in those 7 balls, getting the ball to reverse as well at speed. Just talk us through that spell. I mean, you came on. I think it was your third set of 5. And the game there was very much in the balance. What was your kind of thought process going into that set?
I think for me, obviously, if you take it back to when I took the new ball, I really wanted to take a wicket or two up top. Especially, Vincey's a big player. He's the leading run scorer in the 100 by a long way this season. And I really wanted to get him out, so I wanted to sort of leave my mark, especially at the top there. And I had a few playing misses, and I couldn't quite get the wicket of him, so I was sort of itching to get the ball back to try and leave my mark in the game. So when I got that ball back, first ball went for 4, which on a different day could have been caught. And then, yeah, I just changed things around, decided to go a little bit fuller. And as soon as I saw that first ball reverse to deploy, which got him out, I sort of, as a bowler, you obviously get the wicket, but you see a bit of movement like that, it just gives you an extra 10%, and then I think after that, I think that's as hard as I've run it all season. The adrenaline was going, a few playing misses, so I felt right on top of the batter. Tyrone Pollard at the time, so that was it. It was literally just keeping things simple, not trying to search for it, because I knew there was movement. But if I went searching for it, then I don't think it would have been as effective. So I hit a good length then. But obviously, I'd finished my 5. I had 3 playing misses from Pollard at the back end of those 5, and we called the timeout. And in the timeout, obviously I was stood around Tom Moody and Sam Billings at the time, because in my head I was like, I fancy another 5 here, but I couldn't be outward with it. I didn't feel. And obviously the captain and the coach spoke, and they were just talking about how we needed to get the wicket of Pollard. And Moods basically said that I was most likely to get him out, and I said I fancy my matchup here. So we went with that, and then to get him out of the first ball after obviously having that discussion was a great feeling. And I think obviously I pointed straight over to the dugout after I got the wickets, just obviously because coach back soon in that situation in front of everyone and you deliver it. It's a really nice one.
Absolutely, and like you say, it's a really interesting use of the strategic timeout there, and clearly there's a lot of kind of discussion, tactical discussion around you bowling that final set of 5. I mean, do you feel that you've got kind of good communication, I guess, in general with Billings, with Moody, in terms of how you want to bowl, when you want to bowl, all of those sorts of things?
Yeah, of course. Look, I played a lot of cricket with Sam Billings. I played with him. First time I played with him was way back in 2016 on a Lions tour. We've had a really good relationship since. We live pretty much together in Sydney, playing for Sydney Thunder. So we have a really good relationship. And even when I was missing out, look, the communication was good. The relationship between us was always good. I have a lot of respect for those guys. So for me, look, obviously as a bowler, you always have to be ready at all times. But I sort of knew that if I was bowling well up top, I'd keep going. And then if not, I'd be used potentially through the middle and the back end. So I've always been that type of bowler where I want to almost tick all the boxes. So it just makes the captain's job easier, feeling that they can bowl me at all stages of the game. So yeah, from that point, there was always clarity there.
Sure. And so talk to us a little bit about that sort of relationship you've got with Oval Invincibles in general. So obviously Old Trafford, Lancashire is your kind of prime base. But does it feel like, the Oval is a second home, as you're saying, you're there at the moment. Lancs have got a Champo game starting tomorrow. But does there feel like there's a special connection with Oval Invincibles?
Well, it does, because I'm actually just sat in the stand at the moment. I walked through it. It was a weird feeling walking into the away dressing room. Obviously, I've been here now for the last few weeks. Obviously, going into the home dressing room almost feels like home, using the gym whenever. So yeah, to sort of be on the other side this week is a bit of a weird feeling, but I really enjoyed my time here. The stadium is unbelievable. The crowds have been amazing, and just building relationships with all the workers here. You have Princess who does the food, and Darryl was in the dressing room. All of these guys were obviously associated with Surrey as well. Just sort of building relationships with these guys. It's been real nice. It definitely feels like home away from home, especially with how the last month's gone. So yeah, we'll see how that goes in the future as well. But I definitely enjoy playing it.
Indeed, and who knows? Maybe you might end up at Surrey one day.
Nah, I don't want to obviously fuel those rumours. I'm very happy at Lancashire. Lancashire have been really good to me. They've looked after me really well, obviously, after my stress fractures as well. It's my boyhood club. This is my 10th season now. In October, I'll have been signed as a pro for 10 years, and hopefully there's another 10 years there. So yeah, as much as I enjoy the Oval, Lancashire is my home.
Sure, absolutely. So let's go rewind a bit. So I was sort of saying earlier, the last time we spoke, it was about 18 months ago. We were in Dhaka ahead of that white ball England tour of Bangladesh, and I remember, you were talking there about how much you were looking forward to that series. It was kind of your comeback series after injury. Obviously, sort of subsequently, you've kind of been injured again. Just how frustrating has the last couple of years been, I guess?
It has been frustrating. I don't want to really talk too much about the past now, if I'm being honest, because it's been and gone. It's not something I want to keep dwelling about. I've been playing now solidly since April, and hopefully that keeps continuing for me. But yeah, it obviously was a difficult time. But for me, this summer, I've tried to keep outside noise away from me, and I've just tried to focus on my own game. And all that I've had in my mind is trying to get back to my best now. I understand it's not going to be straight away, and I know what my best looks like, and sometimes 80% of that in county cricket is good enough. But for me, things like the 100 is where you get exposed to another level, and then international cricket's another level up. So for me, I just want to constantly keep pushing my standards so I can keep being consistent and delivering my best, and I feel like I've made good strides with that this season, and that's been my main focus. I haven't really tried to focus too much on things like England selection and franchise cricket outside of that. I just try to focus on my own game. It's kept it pretty simple for me. And yeah, so far it's going well, and I definitely feel like I'm on the right track for that.
Definitely, yeah, it certainly has gone well. And I think, last time you were sort of saying how you kind of modified your action slightly. I think it was in your load up following injury. Have you kind of made any sort of slight changes again in kind of your action?
Look, just small things. I think for me, it's I try and monitor these things regularly. There's certain positions of the crease I want to make sure I stay in, and others I want to avoid. And obviously, I've had a lot of time to make sure that I get that right, especially at the start of the season where I didn't quite feel like it was ready to go into a game with. I hadn't grooved it long enough. Lank's really good in that sense as well. They gave me an extra couple of weeks just to start grooving that action and that feel. And I worked with Dougie Brown in March in the UAE as well. And that I really enjoyed that relationship there as well. And I know what the positions look like, and so far this season it's been good, and we've managed my loads well. We've pushed it at times at the start of the season to get some load into the body, and then we've eased off with white ball cricket recently. So we've managed it well. And for me, obviously, there is the action, but I've had the same action now for a very long time, and I think not changing that too much. I think there's just certain positions you want to avoid, and it's doing all the other things right away from that. Is getting your recovery right, getting your nutrition right, your sleep, all of these things. They all obviously factor in with that as well. So I'm trying to make sure that I tick all of those boxes. And so far, it's kept me in a good place.
Sure, fingers crossed it's all going in the right direction. So let's look at the present then. So as you're saying, you're back in training with Lanks. Is, I guess, your short-term goals, is it to kind of break back into that sort of Red Bull side with Lanks?
Yeah, I wouldn't say break into the Red Bull side. I think obviously what I can do is good enough. It's obviously more just managing my workloads, is being smart with that. So we've obviously got a quarter final in a couple of weeks, which I think will be, high on the priority list. So, we'll see how they manage. Speak closely to the guys, and because we've got 2 tempo games before then, they might just say just rest, or actually playing one and rest the other. So we'll see how it goes. But for me, it's at the moment, white ball cricket is just ahead of red ball cricket for me, just because obviously with what's happened in the last couple of years with the body. So it's not saying I'm giving up on red ball cricket or anything like that. It's more just I've just got to prioritise the white ball game at the moment and try and fit red ball cricket around it.
Sure, and I think you were sort of saying after the final on Sunday, you've kind of got half an eye on that white ball series coming up against Australia in September. Is that still kind of on your radar, I guess?
Yeah, I think obviously as cricketers and athletes, it's important to have targets which obviously give you that extra bit of motivation. Now, my individual targets, like I said, coming into the 100 to do well was to try and get back in England shirt. So those are targets. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, then that's again. There's plenty of opportunities at the moment in the winter to try and play franchise cricket and secure or get back into the side in different ways. But for me, I just want to be playing cricket. I don't want to be sat on the sides anymore. When you've been injured and sitting on the sides, you just want to be out in the middle. So for me, I just want to be playing cricket. That's the main thing.
For sure. And then I guess just finally, just kind of switching focus to kind of Test cricket. I mean, you had your sort of debut series in the Caribbean a couple of years ago now, and I guess so much has changed within the England setup, both in terms of how they're playing Test cricket, but also in terms of personnel. Broad and Anderson being the obvious 2 people who no longer feature in that team. I mean, from your perspective, do those changes that have happened with England in the Test team, do they excite you? And also, does it kind of give you hope that there are opportunities for you going forward?
To be honest, I don't tend to look at things outside of my own game too much. For me, if I concentrate more on my own game. It's always been like that ever since I was a 17-year-old coming into the Lancashire setup, but there were a lot of seasons ahead of me. I was always focusing on my own game, and I knew that if I kept that in order, then the rest would take care of itself. And it's the same at the moment. There's been no real conversations about Test cricket or anything like that, but I'm obviously just trying to look after my own game, and like I said, if I do what I do at my best, then things outside will take care of themselves. So yeah, I'm not looking too far ahead in that sense. I'm just trying to do my own things. That's my mindset, and it will always be my mindset.